Hey ladies, this is Mocha Mommy here and bringing you another video. And this video was inspired by a content creator who I respect a lot. But again, she didn't post a video to her channel. But also a conversation I was having with my 14, almost 15-year-old daughter. Now, this is going to be touchy and this is going to be very sensitive. But if we're going to talk divestment, and I say that making air quotes, I really think that we really need to talk about our clothes. I know I had made a video about simple feminine hacks that you can do to improve your overall appearance, but I just kind of want to have a little bit of a discussion with you about our clothing and what we wear and what it communicates. No matter how fair we think this conversation is, this is just the reality, okay? Now, this particular discussion kind of came up when my teenage daughter, who is a very promising athlete, had wanted to buy a Nike sweatshirt with a large Nike logo across the front. I typically don't really bring up these quote unquote Blackistan issues in my home, but I really felt that this warranted a discussion. Now, it's unfair. It's true that other groups of women can wear Nike logoed sweatshirts with no ramification. It is the world's largest athleisure brand. But when a Black woman or Black presenting woman wears it, it has a whole different connotation. It evokes an urban aesthetic that doesn't necessarily or is not necessarily associated with positive things. Now, I know that I have my own ethical issues with Nike. Being a runner, the way that Nike has treated its female runners, Allison Felix in particular, and its female athletes as a whole. Growing up in the 80s and 90s when Black men were being killed over Air Jordans and Nike was very silent about it. I also feel that just overall, Nike as a brand and just heavily logoed sports gear, fast fashion, and heavily logoed designer clothes also is a bad look for Black women. Now, I get it. It's not fair that we can't wear certain things, but you have to take into consideration how you're perceived when you go about putting on your clothing. It can say a lot about you. I think that fast fashion also hasn't been great for our image as Black women. And heavily logoed designer brands has also not been in the best interest of our safety or our image and aesthetic. So I'm just going to go through this video discussing ways we can dress to divest. Now, I know what I'm saying is unfair, but the reality is heavily logoed athletic wear is associated with an urban aesthetic, and that urban aesthetic sometimes is not always received positively by people. So my suggestion is that when you do choose to do athletic wear, brands like Sanita, 90 Degree athletic wear, look a little bit more Lululemon and less Nike Air Jordan, right? That's my suggestion to you. It looks feminine, it still fits well, it's still comfortable, and it'll perform for you. Also, when it comes to your sneakers, believe it or not, one of the worst things you can do for your feet is wear Nike. Most podiatrists tend to recommend shoes like Asics, New Balance, simply because they create shoes for athletic performance, not athleisure, that is just to be worn for fashion. So therefore, these sneaker companies tend to put a little bit more effort. Shoes like Rika, Hoka, Mizuno, Brooks, they're just going to be better for you overall. And then you don't have to worry about being associated with that negative urban aesthetic. And I know it's unfair, but this is the reality that we have to look. Listen, if you want to be divested, you got to look at. You got to look the part, okay? Now, part of the debate that I had with my youngest daughter was, why was I policing her clothing and didn't really, quote unquote, police my oldest daughter's clothing? Well, one of two reasons. One, the oldest daughter, she's older. She has a job, she has her own money, and she's able to purchase a lot more of her clothing on her own. Number two is that my oldest daughter has more of like an Afro-punk aesthetic, and I am here for it. I think it's pretty cool that she has her own style, her own vibe. It's the closest thing I can equate it to, Afro-punk, because it's colored, textured hair, it's bright colors, sometimes all dark colors, it's dramatic makeup. And I just feel that when you're young, that's the time to express yourself. So I'm in favor of self-expression through fashion, but I just feel as if Black people are already painted as a monolith. So if you're doing what everyone else is doing, it's not self-expression, right? You're just kind of fitting into that box. So that's one of the reasons why I'm against heavily logoed gear, because then you look like everyone else. And sometimes that is not always a very positive association. But the only complaint I've really had with my oldest daughter and her, I guess, Afro-punk aesthetic is the fact that she wears that hair wax, that colored hair wax, and it messes up some of my pillowcases. Like, that's been the only discussion we've had. So she just have to have the same 3 or 4 pillowcases because, you know, of her hair wax. And that's really been the only problem that we've had. But other than that, listen, I just want you to put in effort. I'm giving you the same advice I'm giving my daughters, because I just want you to put in effort. And if there's effort behind your style, I'm all for it. But too many times as Black women, sometimes we're putting on that baggy athleisure and logoed sweatshirts because we don't put any effort into our own self-expression and how we're perceived. Now, the last thing I'm encouraging you guys to do is to be something you're not. It's clear that if you are used to wearing a lot of athleisure and heavily logoed clothes, tracksuits and sneakers everywhere, that it's going to be a big jump to go to the, I guess, like Fashion Nova sexy siren that some of the level up gurus on this platform will tell you to be. One of the things I suggest is the boho chic look. I think that it looks so fantastic if you have natural hair, because a lot of the clothing is oversized, and the aesthetic really thrives on mix and match prints. I think that it's a really great look for those of you who want something a little bit more effortless, for somebody who wants something a little bit more comfortable and they prioritize comfort. For those of you who maybe are still figuring your hair out on your natural hair journey, I think also it's a great aesthetic to adhere to, because while you're figuring it out, boho chic has a very, very freeing, free-flowing kind of look. So your hair doesn't have to be like perfectly coiffed all the time. So it's effortless, but still effort on your part. So it definitely looks purposeful. The store that I recommend is Maurices, simply because they have such great clearance sales and they have very helpful staff. And so many of their pieces are mix and match. If you guys have any other suggestions for affordable, accessible boho chic, I also think the Rose Knox collection at Target also has a lot of great boho chic pieces that are affordable, and that are still very comfortable. So I'm not trying to make you into something you're not, but maybe think about embracing this aesthetic as opposed to that urban athleisure aesthetic. Now, personally, when it comes to my sense of fashion, probably the best way to describe it would be content creator Park Avenue here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box. She has a very classic sense of fashion. It could go from casual to professional to being able to be dressed up or dressed down. She has a strong capsule wardrobe, also natural chic. She also has the same sort of aesthetic that I wear. You know, I love artistic expression. I love boho chic. I love when people are cutting edge. I love when people are super, super feminine and glamorous. But being a working mom, it's not very feasible for me. So I think that that classic aesthetic, just really, and having a capsule wardrobe helps me. I can go from casual to professional to a night out with just a few staple pieces that fit me well. I have a mix between high and low, luxury and value brands. So I think that these two content creators, Park Avenue and the Natural Chic, have really nice aesthetics. I definitely like the way they dress. I like the way they wear their hair. I like the way they do their makeup. So that's more my style. Now, as some of you guys may know, I am on a hair growth journey, and one of the things that has helped me instrumentally is roller sets. I see a professional once a month, and we work on different styles of roller sets. And I just think they're so perfect for every single length, every single hair texture, because they're so versatile and it gives you a lot of beauty and volume without using so much heat. I was heat styling my hair on a weekly basis, and now I've refrained from that. And I've seen a lot of improvement in the thickness and the length of my hair. I started over the summer, and I've really seen a dramatic improvement. Also, I think that asking for a wash and set is a really great way to vet stylists. So before you let them do a big chemical process like a cut, a color, or relaxer, or any dramatic change, ask them for like a roller set or a silk press first and see how they do. Vet that stylist that way. I think it just is such a beautiful aesthetic when we embrace our natural hair, and things that mimic it, and try our best to grow it out healthy with professional help. I also really like the vintage look that a lot of women are starting to do in the spring. So I think it's really pretty on Black women when we embrace those colors and prints that really can complement our dark skin tones. Two of my favorite places are Unique Vintage and, of course, New York & Company. Their spring collection has that vintage feel to it. And another thing that I love about New York & Company, especially this time of year, is that all of the winter stuff, like your sweater dresses and your knits and your jackets, all go on sale now this time of year. So this is one of my favorite times of year to shop, to kind of get those last sweaters, blazers, jackets, and staple pieces that I can use in the winter, and buy them on sale now and still check out the new spring collection. So that's some of the advice I'd give to you. Now, ladies, I love full feminine glam. It looks so beautiful, but the reality is it's not always practical. That's one of the reasons why I love really simple, easy, accessible fashion that just makes you look a little bit more elevated. And as far as makeup is concerned, I still am a loyal customer to Iman Cosmetics. I don't think I will ever stray from that brand as long as it's on the shelves. It's now in a curated Amazon shop. You don't have to work super hard to find your right shade because they kind of come in approximations, and the coverage is really light, and it's a good way to practice and just to start with makeup. I also think that content creators like Slim Rashea and Universe Trip, I'll be sure to link them in the description box, have some really great beginner makeup advice, or just for people who just have a life and don't have 45 minutes to put a full face on, but just somebody who can throw on a little bit of concealer, a little bit of lip color, and just look elevated. And ladies, I am trying to tell you that nowadays, it's not that hard. The quarantine has made people really lazy. So trust me, any effort that you put in, you're going to be ahead of the curve. Now, I'm never going to tell you how to dress. I'm never going to say you can or cannot wear something, but understand the clothing you put on communicates certain things to the people around you. And I want to make sure that you're communicating your personal style, your personal aesthetic, and not laziness. An urban aesthetic can present a level of danger to how people perceive you, to your professionalism, to your age, to your income status. It really can. So that's one of the reasons why I'm encouraging you to look into other options. You want to be as universally appealing and also as self-expressive as you want to be. Don't let laziness dictate your style. This is Mocha Mommy, and I'll see you in the next video.